The 5 most epic battles of the Bible. You will be amazed with the ending. The angel of the Lord kills 185,000 soldiers. The Bible tells us in the second book of the Kings that there was a large Assyrian army surrounding Jerusalem. In an attempt to resolve the situation, the king of Judah sent representatives to speak with his enemies. However, the Assyrian spokesman claimed that Judah would fall just like the other nations they had defeated. Faced with the threat of the Assyrian army, King Hezekiah was desperate. At that moment, the prophet Isaiah arrived and brought a message from the Lord promising victory. God's providence sent the angel of the Lord, an incarnate manifestation of God himself. This angel came down to earth representing the divine army and defeated in one night 185,000 Assyrian soldiers. The defeat was so devastating that the Assyrian king Sennacherib was forced to return to his homeland. Arriving in his land, he encountered a rebellion of sorts, and the king was killed by his own sons. It was a victory of Israel without the need to fight a battle, only with the help of God.
I will do the rest of this 5-part series that this gentleman put out. This is part 4 of his series, part 1 of mine. So this story just demonstrates the propaganda that is written a couple of hundred years after the Assyrian siege on Jerusalem. It is not written at the time frame of the siege. This was written in around the 500 BCE time frame. These events happen in and around the 680, 690 BCE time frame. But what they fail to tell you in this Bible is the entire story, because we do have documentation on tablets in cuneiform and in the Assyrian language, as well as the Greek historian Herodotus accounts of the Assyrian attacks on northern Israel, as well as the siege on Jerusalem. So some of the things that they leave out is the fact that, well, they do talk about in the Bible how Hezekiah was ripping down the walls from the Temple of Solomon to pay a tribute to Sennacherib. But what they don't tell you is that Sennacherib had a habit of allowing a vassal state or a neighboring state to pay a tribute to him and then still go and lay siege to those people even after they've paid tribute. This was the personality of the man. The man demonstrated that he was a very vicious type of person, that he was, a true despot. Now, what they don't tell you in the Bible is that prior to his army attacking northern Israel, his army went and attacked Egypt. But during their attacks on Egypt, they were invaded by mice, hordes of mice. And these mice, according to Herodotus, were carrying plagues, maybe even the bubonic plague. And these mice bit, and the fleas from the mice bit the army, the Assyrian army's troops. So by the time they had marched to the Levant to lay siege to Jerusalem after destroying about 39 other northern Israelite cities, which, by the way, this encounter is what made Jerusalem the primary city of the Israelite people. Before that, every city had its own temple, but then it was all consolidated to Jerusalem after that. But that's a whole nother video. But they came to Jerusalem to lay siege, carrying this bubonic plague, or whatever the plague was. The plague killed tens of thousands, if not 185,000, such a nice, round, neat number of his soldiers. And only because his soldiers were ill did Sennacherib call those soldiers back to Assyria. It had nothing to do with some deity. You see, this is the problem one of the problems I have with religions in itself. There's a perfectly scientific explanation as to why those men died by the time they were in siege of Jerusalem. And mind you, a siege is not something that lasts for a day or a week. Sieges can last for months to years. And these men dealing with this plague and how rapidly a plague like the bubonic plague spread, people are dying by the hundreds, if not the thousands, every day. And there's a certain limit that an army can still function when they are besieged by a plague or an illness, to where their battle plans are now ineffective. And that is why they were pulled from seizing Jerusalem. It's in the Assyrian account, it's in Herodotus' account. But I know that many people will just stick to what the Bible says. So you rather believe in angels descending from the heavens and mysteriously killing people than a plague happening. Or you're going to negotiate it and say that, well, then when the angel came, that was the method that he used to kill everybody. This is you forcing your narrative into actual history and not accepting the fact that that is just history. When a tornado tears down through the Midwest, and it happens every year, is that God or is that a natural cycle? When a hurricane rips through the Caribbean every year, is that God or is that a natural cycle? When man experiences plagues and pandemics every few 50 to 100 years, is that God or is that a natural cycle? I tend to go with the natural cycle and not your gods, not your angels, not some massive thing that's some spiritual thing that's just happening. It's all easily understood because the law of cause and effect is always at play. For every cause, there is an effect. And for every effect, there is a cause. There is no such thing as luck, chance, or miracle. And in this case, divine intervention. So y'all have a great day. And remember always, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.